Hey guys, in this video, we will discuss how we can horizontally scale the cache servers. Cache servers are designed to store and manage frequently accessed data so that future requests for that data can be served faster. For example, if new Marvel movie is released on Netflix, then we know that many users will try to watch it. To handle this demand efficiently, Netflix will store this movie into their cache servers, allowing it to be delivered as quickly as possible. Cache servers have the better response time because they rely near to the users. So instead of directly hitting to the Netflix server, user try to fetch the movie from the cache server itself. In order to solve this problem, let's discuss the functional and the non-functional requirements first. So the first functional requirement is we have to design an algorithm which will help us to scale the cache servers horizontally. The algorithm must minimize the load on each particular cache server. Users' request should not be concentrated on a one particular server. It should be distributed equally among all the cache servers. Algorithm must be able to handle dynamic load. Like for example, at night, demand for the movie increases significantly. So in order to handle this more request, we need to add more cache servers in our system. Now let's discuss about the non-functional requirements. So first is scalable. System should be able to handle growing number of requests efficiently by adding more cache servers and distributing the load among all the cache servers. Now second is system should be highly available. That means our service should be operational 24/7, ensuring uninterrupted service for the users. Users should not be able to face any downtime from the system. Third is low latency. Users' request should be processed as quickly as possible, ensuring fast response time. And the last one is reliability. Our system should work correctly even after unexpected conditions has been occurred. We don't want our functionalities to be distorted. So these are our functional and the non-functional requirements. Now to understand this problem much better, let's take an example. Let's say we have launched a website helping individuals in their preparation for their job interviews. Currently, our system architecture contains two components. One is the website server and another one is the cache server. So if a new request comes to our website, then it will be handled by the website server. And if the existing request comes again, then it will be handled by the cache server. But if the existing request comes again and it is not present in the cache server, then it will be handled by the website server itself. This is the case of the new request. This is the case of the hit request, in which we are able to get the data from the cache server itself. And this is the case of the miss request, where the data is not present in the cache server. So we have to get it from the website server itself. Now let's say our website has become very popular and the higher number of visitors is causing slowdown during busy times. To fix this, we plan to adjust the number of cache servers based on the demand. That means we try to add more and more cache servers when there is high traffic and try to reduce these cache servers when there is less traffic, so that our system remain fast, reliable and the cost effective too. However, while replicating our cache server horizontally can improve system availability, as if one cache server dies, then another cache server can serve the request. But it introduces another complexities like data consistencies and retrieval efficiency. It's because of the limited amount of memory of the cache server. So if our website server contains a map which have the information like 1 to A, 2 to B, 3 to C and 4 to D, and our cache server can accommodate only two values. So let's say it contains 1 to A and 4 to D. And these two cache server have been replicated from this particular cache server. So these servers also contains information like 1 to A, 4 to D, 1 to A, 4 to D. So if a request comes for 2 value or a 3 value, then it would not be present in the cache server. So this particular request will be redirected to the website server, and the website server will return the response. Now, due to the limited amount of memory of the cache server, these cache servers only contains the fractional part of the actual data, due to which there would be many cases when cache server can't fulfill the user's request, resulting in the miss case. And because all cache servers contains the same data, resulting in higher number of miss cases, which eventually increase the overall response time. And because one cache server is been replicated into multiple cache server, and if the request for the two increases significantly, then we have to update our cache server database. So let's say the request for 2 increases significantly, so we remove this 1 to A and we add 2 to B. So now, due to this updation, we have to update all other cache servers also. So this 1 to A also become 2 to B, and this 1 to A also become 2 to B. So in order to maintain the data consistency, the overall latency will increase significantly, because we have to update all other cache servers also before serving another request. So all the users' request will remain in halt condition until all cache servers will update their values. Due to increase in miss rate and to maintain this data consistency, the overall latency of the system has been increased. So we have to think about some another solution. Now the optimal configuration for achieving high performance in cache server is to reduce duplicates among all the cache servers and to reduce overloading in one particular cache server. So in the first case, we have the duplicates, due to which there is higher miss rate, and to maintain the data consistency among all the cache servers, the latency will increase significantly. And in the second case, one cache server contains the maximum amount of data, due to which maximum number of requests will be fulfilled by the one single server. So if this particular server dies, then overall miss rate of the system will increase significantly, resulting in higher latency. Because other cache servers doesn't contain the data, so users' request will not be able to fulfill by these cache servers. So indirectly they have to contact to website server, resulting in increase in overall response time. So to remove these two problems, we try to partition the data and distribute it across multiple cache servers, and we also replicate these partitions across different cache servers, so that if one server fails, another can handle the request. This approach decreases overall miss rate because majority of the data has been covered by the cache servers, and system also remain available 24/7 because we have replicated these partitions across multiple cache servers. So if one cache server fails, then another cache server can serve the request. And we don't have to ensure data consistency across all cache servers. Our main task is to route each request to the correct cache server based on its needs. But in previous scenarios where cache servers replicate data, any server can handle request since they all contain same data. However, the downside is a higher chance of cache misses because each server holds less data. So basically, we need a combination of a replication and a partition technique. Replication can be done easily, but our main question is how we can partition this data. So to partition this data, there are multiple techniques, but in this video, we will discuss about consistent hashing. But why consistent hashing? So to answer this question, we first try to understand what are our expectations from a partition algorithm that we want to use in this case. Algorithm should able to redirect the request to the correct cache server. If one cache server dies, then algorithm will be able to redirect the request to another cache servers. Algorithm should be able to handle the dynamic load. If more request is coming, then we need to add more cache servers, and if less request is coming, then we need to reduce the cache servers. Algorithm should be able to reduce this hotspot position in the system architecture so that requests can be distributed equally among all the cache servers. Now let's see how consistent hashing algorithm will be able to handle all of these four situations. Let's say you have 4 requests coming to your service, and in your system architecture you have 3 cache servers. Now in the previous case, each server contained the same data. So any request can go to any server. But we know due to limited amount of the cache server and the less throughput of the service, we try to partition this data. So if we partition the data in such a way that first server contain A equal to 1, second server contain P equal to 2, and the third server contain Y equal to 3 and Z equal to 4, then in that case, we have to redirect the request to the appropriate server. So this particular request will be redirected to the first server because the first server contains the data A equal to 1. But the question is how we partition this data so that we can easily redirect the request that was coming to our service. One way is to partition the data based on the range. So let's say you have keys from A to Z. So you partition this range into 3 segments. L to maybe R, let's say. So you dissect this particular range into 3 segments. So the first segment A to L will be contained in first server. From L to R, the keys will be present in the second server, and from R to Z, the keys will be present in the third server. So any request that will come to our service will be referred to this particular segment, and based on these 3 segments, that particular request will able to identify which server he has to contact. Till now, everything seems pretty good, but there is a flaw in this approach. Can you identify? This approach can lead to hotspot issue. Currently, our dataset is evenly distributed over the 3 segments. However, if the majority of the data is concentrated in one segment, this could create an imbalance. For instance, if most of your data belongs to the third segment, then majority of the request will be directed to the third server, leading to a hotspot situation at the third server. So we have to think about an approach that can transform an uneven distribution of data into a uniform distribution. And this transformation will be done using a hash function. Now let's say you have a data set which contain all these values. So if we consider the previous case, then A equal to 1 will be in the first segment, P equal to 2 will be in the second segment, and the rest of the data points will be in the third segment. Here we can clearly see our data is unevenly distributed. But by passing all these key values from a hash function will give us a uniformly distributed data. If we use MD5 hash algorithm, then our data will be in a range 0 to 2 raised to the power 128 minus 1. So if we pass the keys from this particular hash function, then we get a value in a range of 0 to 2 raised to the power 128 minus 1. And the data will be evenly spread over this large range, leading to a uniform distribution. We will not cover how this hashing technique works in this video, but for now, let's assume that this method will transform uneven distributed data into a uniformly distributed data set. After transforming all the keys into a hash value, we will take a modulus by a value n, where n is the number of cache servers. So after taking a modulus operator, our value will be in the range of 0 to n minus 1. And based on this value, we will put our key into the corresponding server. If we get a value 0, then we will put it in the first server. If we get a value 1, then we will put it in the second server, and so on. Till now, what we have studied is that we take a key, we pass it through a hash function, and the value that we get from the hash function, we apply a modular operator by a value n, where n is the number of cache servers, so that the final output we will get is in the range of 0 to n minus 1. And based on that value, we will put our key into the corresponding server. Everything seems pretty good, but again, there is a problem with this approach. Let's say these are the values that we get after passing through the hash function, and after taking the modular operator by the 3, because number of cache servers in our architecture is equal to 3. So we get a value 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 0. So according to that, we put our values into the corresponding cache servers. Our output of the hash function is in increasing order. So that's why we get a sequence of 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. Now let's say our website become very popular and more number of requests is coming to our website. So to handle that amount of request, we add one more cache server. So our n becomes 4. And if we take modulus by 4, our value becomes 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2. So if a new server is added, there is a lot of data movement. This particular data, this data, and this data will not move, but all these 4 data will have to move to some another cache server. Basically, when a server is added or removed, the number of cache server changes, resulting in significant data movement and increased system latency. And the solution to this problem is consistent hashing. Let's say you have k data points and you have n cache servers. So on average, k by n data points will be reside over one cache server. So if a new server is added or removed, then k by n plus 1 or k by n minus 1 data points should be moved in an ideal case. And the consistent hashing algorithm help us to achieve this best case. In consistent hashing algorithm, we hash both servers and data points and place them on a ring-like structure. So what we do, we create a ring which have a points from 0 to m minus 1, where m is the value that we take for the modulus operation. There could be a detailed discussion on what value to choose for m, but let's assume we have already made that decision. So we use IP address of the cache servers and then we hash them, and after hashing we apply a modulus operation which gives us a value from 0 to m minus 1. Let's say we take m equal to 64. So our range would be 0 to 63. So here would be approx 16, here would be 32, here would be 48. And let's say after the following operation, we get a value of 28. So we put our cache server at the point number 28. So let's say 28 lies here. So our cache server would be at this position. Similarly, we put our other 2 cache servers also. So let's say they lie, one of the cache server lie here and one of the cache server lie here. In the same fashion, we put our data points also. Now let's see how we can decide which data point will lie in which server. So what we do, we move in a clockwise direction and we put all our data points to their next nearest cache server. This particular point will lie here. This point will also lie here. This point lie here. This point lie here. This point and this point will lie here. So whenever we receive a request, we hash that particular request, we convert it into the range of 0 to m minus 1, and then we put that particular value inside the ring. So let's say that particular value will be present here. After that, we move in the clockwise direction and the next nearest server will be the server which will able to fulfill that particular request. So this is the basic idea of the consistent hashing algorithm. Now let's see how this algorithm will be able to reduce the data movements that was happening previously. Let's say more number of requests is coming to our website, so we need to add one more cache server. Let's say position of the new cache server on the ring is here. So this is the new cache server. Now think about it, which one of the data points position will change? If you carefully see, then only this particular point, this particular data point position will change. Previously, it was lying on this particular cache server, but by adding this new cache server, it will lie here. From this case, what we can see is like this particular area is completely unaffected. Only the data points that will lie in this region will be affected because their positions will be changed from the old cache server to the new cache server. So if we assume that all the cache server contain equal amount of data, and if there are k data points and n cache servers, then approximately each cache server contain k by n data. So this particular cache server also contain k by n data, and these k by n data points will lie in this region. And we are actually moving only this amount of data. which are actually less than k by n. So by the consistent hashing algorithm, we have reduced our data point movements when there is an addition of a new cache server. Now let's see what will happen if one of our cache server dies. Let's say this particular cache server dies. Then in that case, these all data points will be moved to this particular cache server. So in this case also, we have only moved k by n data points. But wait, we have only considered data point movement so far. What happened to the user request? If one of our cache server fails, they will fail as well. To handle this failure, we replicate the data points of the each cache server to the next k cache server. If a cache server fails, we move to the next available cache server in a clockwise direction. So the data points that is present here will be replicated to the next available cache servers also. So in this case, we have only 3 cache servers. So let's say we will replicate that data points to the next one cache server. Another strategy is to give each cache server a preference list with the IP address of the other servers where its data will be replicated. This list is larger than k. K is the replication factor to ensure that if some servers in the list are down, we can still replicate the data to the k servers. And of course, you have to manage the replicated data points also when there is an addition of a new cache server or a removal of existing cache server. Everything seems pretty good, but there is one more problem in this architecture. This approach will only work if all the data points and the cache servers are placed evenly around the ring. Otherwise, data points will be unevenly placed over the cache servers. To ensure each cache server has on average k by n data points, both data points and the servers need to be evenly distributed. While a large number of data points will be spread evenly around the ring, the small number of cache servers might not be. In this case also, because we have only 3 cache servers, there could be the case where these 3 cache servers are not evenly distributed. This server is not present here. Maybe this is present here. So this particular server contains 2 data points. This will contain 1 data point, and this server will contain 3 data points. Due to this uneven distribution, we will not able to achieve the k by n data point movements when there is an addition of a server or there would be a removal of an existing server. As let's say if this particular server dies, then this point need to be moved to this particular server. So on an average, there would be more than k by n data point movements. But you will say there would be a replicated value over to the next server. But you have to know there would always be a primary source of a data point. So if primary source is down, then we need another primary source. So that's why we have to move our data points. Okay then, but what to do? How we can solve this problem? This will be solved by the introduction of the virtual servers. We will dissect each cache server into small number of virtual servers. Count of the virtual server will be depend upon the size of the physical cache server. So let's say we have a 50 MB size cache server and we divide this server into 4 small virtual server. Each server contain 12.5 MB of data. Basically what we do, we increase the count of the cache server by adding virtual servers, which makes the distribution from uneven state to uniform state. So instead of this physical memory, the virtual servers will be present on the ring. Now I know what you were thinking. If a physical server dies, then at the same time, all the virtual server also dies, leading to more number of gaps over the ring. But the best part of this approach is that because all the virtual server is distributed uniformly over the ring, the gaps which will be formed also be in the uniform fashion. So still we only had to move only k by n data points. We will place these virtual servers by using more number of hashing algorithm. Because the hashing algorithm is different, we will get a different position for the same IP address. That's all everyone. This covers the consistent hashing algorithm. If I have missed anything or if you have any questions, please mention them in the comment section. I hope you enjoyed this video. For more videos like this, please subscribe to this channel. Goodbye.